Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Movie News. This is AMC Spoilers, where we're doing our spoiler-filled review of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now, for those of you who do not know, this is AMC Spoilers, which means we are going to get into all the spoilers in the movie. We are going to talk about this movie as if you, our dearest and closest friends, have seen this movie with us already. So, if you haven't seen Captain America: The Winter Soldier, or maybe you haven't but you don't care about spoilers, if you're somebody that cares about spoilers, just add us to your favorites list and then come back and watch this video later, because we are going to get into all the details about the movie, talking as friends as if we've all seen it together. So you have been warned. This is AMC Spoilers.
John, are you trying to say that if I haven't seen the movie, this show will ruin it for me?
It will absolutely ruin it for you.
Just in case I don't understand what spoilers means, this will ruin the entire
Damn it,
show.
I just remembered you haven't seen the movie yet, have you?
No, I did see it.
Okay.
Get off the couch!
There's a review for it. All right, I'm going to introduce you all. First, the AMC crew that is going to be joining me for this review. First of all, sitting to my immediate left, she is the editor for AMC Movie News, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Hey, happy to be here.
Beside her is our production manager, Mr. Dennis Zen.
Hey guys, I like that we're using the new AMC
mic flags. Sitting beside him, one of the hosts of AMC Movie Talk, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley.
What up, guys?
And the one of us who hasn't seen the movie was going to review it anyway. No, I'm kidding. He's seen it. Mr. John Schnepp.
And I also don't have one of those fancy mic
No respect.
It's too giant.
All right, so let's start. We're going to break it down this way. We're going to talk about the positives of the film. We're going to talk about the negatives of the film. Then we're going to give our overall impressions with a score out of 10. And so, Amy Rose, let's start with you. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. You saw it. Just your quick first impression, and then the positives about the movie.
Thank you. That's my first quick impression. Thank you. I absolutely love this movie. I saw it, 3 weeks ago with you?
Yeah, we saw it 3 weeks ago.
And I literally was so hyper, and I couldn't sleep after I saw it because I was so excited. This movie is phenomenal. I really think it raised the bar with Marvel films. The script, everything about it was just the creme de la creme. So I loved this movie. Loved.
And some of the positives about the film, things you liked about
The
this
script
movie.
was amazing.
You know what? No, you're right. Let's get everybody's general impression and do it. Dennis, your quick general impression.
I thought
of
it
the
was
film.
very well done. I really liked it. I thought it was kind of like a mini Avengers before the Avengers, getting all the team together. Good character development for Captain America, a good story, and a great cast altogether.
Ashley.
Overall, I really liked the movie. I thought it took me through a whole range of emotions. One second I'm laughing because he's busting out this notebook with modern day time comments, the Apple, the Steve Jobs. I love that. And next second I'm going through this action scene, having all this adrenaline running through my body, and then next second I'm sad. I really like that it took me through that whole range of emotions. I thought it was super different from the first one, super different from the first, but overall, yeah, I really liked it.
Do you know, I read a rumor about this, and maybe one of you guys can confirm or deny this. I read a rumor that in different countries, when Captain Rogers opens that notebook of his, it's a different list,
That's
depending
clever.
on the country.
That'd be
you're in.
interesting.
That's
That
clever.
is interesting.
As it should.
Yeah.
Anyway, Schnepp, your impressions of Captain America.
I want to see that on the Blu-ray, every single different list, or just somebody just snapshot that once the videos come out and put it online. I loved it. I loved the Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I thought it was fantastic. It went above and beyond what the first movie to me did, which was give Captain America, who has always been one of my favorite Marvel characters, give him his due, which he really needed. And the guy Chris Evans really represents Captain America in the best way possible.
He's grown into this role
Yeah.
so well.
And it's he's not just I'm a fish out of water, He actually showed some of the things that I think our country has lost. He has become that character who embodies it. So in a certain sense, it's not just he's embodying America, but he embodies the virtues of what it is to be a good person and understand what's right and wrong. And in this movie, as we'll talk about, what happens with S.H.I.E.L.D. is he has to fight S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's he has to fight everything that he's against. It's against all odds. And it's really well done. It's definitely a thriller with the most amazing action sequences I've seen recorded by anyone who's done anything on Marvel. In Marvel territories, this is ultimate action. You feel every punch.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with you. A long time ago, we heard from Kevin Feige and the Russos about a year ago that this Captain America movie, this new one that we're working on right now, it's going to feel like a political thriller. And you think, yeah. It really does.
Yeah.
I think the first thing I told Dennis, when I first talked to Dennis about it, was dude, the first 2 acts to me feel like a John Grisham movie. Like a really, or a Tom Clancy. That's a better, like a Tom Clancy movie is what it feels like to me. And I mean that in the best possible way. I love this movie. Loved this movie. It instantly became for me the best single shot individual Marvel film. I'm still scratching my head about whether or not I prefer it or the Avengers. That's how good it is, and I'm struggling with that. But I'll say this. I came to this realization this morning after watching Captain America for the 3rd time. I think I like this movie better than The Dark Knight. And everybody knows how much I love The Dark Knight. I mean, I love it. And Heath Ledger will always be the better villain. Always, always, always. But what really jumped out to me was that the way our lead is handled. I like the way Steve Rogers in this film is handled and portrayed and what he does more than I like the Bruce Wayne character and how they handled Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight. And for me, that just nudged it better. Now, we're all going to agree the 2 are excellent movies. I will have no argument against other people who will say that they prefer The Dark Knight over Captain America 2. That's cool too. But I just think the fact that we're even discussing it, that these 2 films in the same sentence says so much about, you're right, they raised the bar. That can be a good and a bad thing for Marvel going forward. But holy crap, I cannot begin to say. The movie just opened yesterday. I've seen it 3 times. And I'm going to see it 3 or 4 more. Dennis and I were just talking about, we got to go see it again today. So anyway, Amy Rose, let's go back to you now. Let's get into our positives and negatives.
Yes.
Let's start with the positives about this film.
So everyone, the big conversation right now is it the best Marvel film to date?
Right.
I'm going to go on record and say yes, it is. I still think The Avengers was more fun.
Right.
But I think this was the better made film. And I just think the action sequences, you touched on that, they were intimate, which is a really hard thing to accomplish. The combat, they were just so intensive and awesome. And Chris Evans, we literally have seen him become this character before our eyes. Every single, rendition is better.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson, I mean, she's a gorgeous woman. That's obvious. But, in Iron Man, Scarlet, I want to say Scarlet Witch, too many Scarlets. Black Widow, she was good. And like Avengers, she was good, especially when she was being chased by Hulk. I thought that.
Black Panther Widow.
But she was phenomenal in this. I think she just completely got it down. So the fight, and like the Winter Soldier could have been a really flat character, and it wasn't. He had so much depth. Sebastian Stan brought so much, and I just love it. Falcon, again, could have been really cheesy. He wasn't.
I was
he was
worried.
amazing.
I was worried about Falcon.
Yeah.
I thought Falcon, even though he looked cool in the trailer, I was worried Falcon was going to come off, even though I love Anthony Mackie, I thought he was going to come off as a cheesy kind of thing. Did not at all.
And it felt epic. This felt grand. And all the shots were really beautifully done. And I just thought there were character moments, good script, great action. It literally had everything I wanted and more. So I really think this raised the bar. And Captain America, the first one, it was probably one of my least favorite of the standalone films.
You're not alone.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
And like I liked Thor better, I liked Iron Man better, but this just completely got to the top of the Marvel films. I'm not comparing it to The Dark Knight. I would still go Dark Knight. But in the Marvel, the MCU, I think it is the best film that they have so far.
I will say this though too. One of the other comparisons between Captain America Winter Soldier, to me anyway, and The Dark Knight is that they really both transcend just the comic book genre, because I think one of the things that made Dark Knight so special, it was that it wasn't just a comic book movie. It was a great movie.
And this was.
And
Absolutely.
Captain America, the Winter Soldier, same thing. To me, it didn't even feel like I said this to Chris Evans, it didn't feel to me like a superhero movie. It felt to me like a movie about a hero. And that's just, it's just so. Anyway, Dennis, the positives for you about Captain America Winter Soldier.
One of the best things about it was Captain America and Black Widow's chemistry.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with Chris Evans. You had done an interview with Chris Evans and asked him about that. I guess him and Scarlett Johansson have been friends for a long time, so they had this comfortability with each other, and so I thought that showed with their relationship on screen. I thought that was one of the best parts.
I think Johansson said they've done like 5 movies together or something like that. Yeah.
And they've known each other for a long time.
Since she was 17, she said.
Yeah.
Since she was 17.
So I thought that was one of the best things. I also thought Falcon was a great surprise, because he does look so cheesy in the comic books, but he came off like not totally realistic, but you know what I mean.
We should have known at Comic-Con how cocky Mackie was about that role. We should have known because he's amazing.
And yeah, the action sequence is great. It's different. Like I still like Avengers a little bit more for different reasons. Avengers, the action is more kind of comic booky, over the top and all these powers and stuff. And this was kind of more of a hyper realistic type of action. And you got a lot of cool hand-to-hand combat. And I thought all those scenes were great. I mean, even in the beginning, it did have like a Tom Clancy Splinter Cell type of feel to it.
Yeah.
And, you and me were fans of MMA.
His fight with Batroc, GSP.
With GSP was actually really good. I was afraid. I was like, oh, GSP is going to be in this. I don't know how good he's going to be. But that was a great fight scene.
Yeah. Ashley, the positives.
Positives, something I love about movies in general are twists. And I feel like this movie had a bunch of twists from, these are good guys with S.H.I.E.L.D. to suddenly they're bad guys with Hydra. And then the ultimate twist for me was when the mask fell off and I was like, why do I know that face? Oh my gosh, that's Bucky. That freaked me out, and I was like looking around to the audience like, oh my gosh, guys. And I also love the costuming, the villain costuming. He looked so I don't know if I can bad. He looked so.
Did you say badass?
He looked so badass. Like him just walking, like it kind of gave me chills. He looked like a mix of Mickey Avalon and a demon had a baby. Granted, like probably 3 people watching this have any idea who Mickey Avalon is, but that's what he looked like, and I thought he just looked so badass. I love the costuming and I love the twists.
Schnepp?
All right, gonna get a little sweaty here. Arnim Zola
Yes.
finally makes his proper, appearance as a computer creature and
So
is pure
cool.
evil. So I love the little nods to a lot of these other characters. The Falcon is like, I grew up reading Captain America and the Falcon. So it was like, to me, I was really, really hoping that they got this character, the teammate situation right. And they did, because it's like the way Anthony Mackie and the way the script was written, it's like, this guy respects Cap, and he's also been in the war with a different war, but in it with the same kind of situation as Cap, and he's like, I'll follow you. And it's like, that to me is really important to know. Like, Captain America is like, he is the top of the top, and to have a dude who's like, yeah, I'm right there with you, that to the left kind of thing that they kept bringing back was really cool, and it showed like a really good working teammate type of thing, especially like you guys saying back and forth with the Avengers or Captain America. For me, the Avengers is to me the ultimate Marvel movie, so I'm looking forward to the Avengers Age of Ultron, just because as a fan of all these disparate characters, to see them all in one movie is still
absolutely.
nothing beats that
That
for me.
element for
but
sure.
as a standalone film, I think this is the best written and best directed and best acted Marvel standalone film yet that I've seen, because I was in it from the beginning to the end. I thought the action sequences with Nick Fury, that car chase,
They were
was just
awesome.
so
well
good
done. I mean,
and unexpected.
Really unexpected.
that's what I'm saying. It's like every single element was thought through and really well directed, well conceived. Well, all the characters were given their moment too. So that was something that was really great to me. To each character, and it didn't feel forced. Like some films, you feel like, oh, here's their moment. Everything just had a natural flow, which was
Natural ease,
fantastic. Like I said it before, the action sequences were just phenomenal. So I remember reading a little bit. I tried to keep away from anything about this movie, except I saw the trailers and I was like, I've read The Winter Soldier, so I, like you, if you looked at me, I was like, yes, it's Bucky. Like, I'd have been that nerd. Like, why are you so surprised, woman?
Yeah, I know.
But seeing the film, even with fresh eyes, it was like fantastic. I mean, the negatives are so few. I mean, so let's just rock on the positive.
Yeah, we will get to the negatives in a second. To me, where the positives start is, you mentioned the chemistry between Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson. To me, chemistry, not just between Chris Evans and her, the chemistry between Chris Evans and Anthony Mackie. The chemistry has never been better between Chris Evans and Samuel L. Jackson. It's just like with every character, there is a very unique and wonderfully developed chemistry between those characters. And I love the thing, when I was talking to Sam Jackson about it, he said, Steve Rogers really has a different philosophy than Nick. They have two totally different things. Steve Rogers is, let's make everybody free. And Samuel L. Jackson says, and Nick Fury is like, I'm going to put a gun to everybody and said, you're free, you dig?
Little Pulp Fiction action
Yeah,
right
very
there.
Pulp Fiction. And by the way, did everybody catch the Pulp Fiction reference?
Yes.
In the film at the end?
With Ezekiel.
Yeah, that was awesome. And so
So
few people
good.
caught it. It was so good.
clever.
But, just the whole idea, and the movie never tries to tell you who's right. It lets you decide that. So you have Nick Fury and Cap, and they have two totally different worldviews, right? But they'll never give one the advantage of the. Obviously, ultimately, it's Captain America's, right? But he's talking to Fury in one of the first scenes together, and he says, "You could have got, hostages could have been killed." And Fury said, "So I sent the greatest soldier in the history of the world to make sure that didn't happen." That whole their chemistry, the Mackie chemistry, right from the beginning.
I love
on
that.
your left,
Yeah.
and then they're sitting down. It's like, you should be ashamed of yourself. Take another lap. Did you just take it?
Yeah.
I assume you just took another lap.
Yeah.
I mean, that was so good. So that chemistry was just key throughout the whole film between all those different characters. Robert Redford, to me,
I was just gonna say Robert
I
Redford.
thought he could have been a throwaway, just a token character. Hey, it's Robert Redford. But damn it, he played it like a Tom Clancy movie.
Did you ever think we'd hear him say "Hail Hydra"?
Hail Hydra. I'm Robert Redford. Hail Hydra. I mean, but they did such a good job of, okay, he's there. I'm assuming he's going to be a bad guy. And then they convinced me he's not the bad guy. And then they changed my mind. I said, wait a minute, he is the bad guy. And then he says to
So
Captain America
good.
as he's leaving, hey, Cap, somebody just killed one of my best friends, and no one's going to get in my way from finding out who. Then I'm like, okay, I'm convinced he's a good guy again. Then he shoots his maid.
That part was hard.
Whoa.
I wish you knocked. You're just like,
Oh, whatever her name was,
Yeah.
like Elizabeth,
So
whatever.
good.
I wish you had knocked. Bang. I mean, they did such a good job with all that stuff. Obviously, aside from the big New York battle, which is the ultimate set piece action scene in all the Marvel films and Avengers, this is the best action we've seen in any of these
No
films.
question.
And I'm going to say any comic book film. The fights between Winter Soldier and Cap, and I think they had 3 fights. One was very short, but still, some of the best choreographed, beautifully shot
yeah.
fight scenes ever. And then it comes down to that last fight scene between them. Just so beautifully handled, and it's just so many good things to say about this. The tension is great, the writing is excellent, the Russos did a great job directing this film. Evans is more and more embodying Captain America. Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier was great. Robert Redford, Samuel L. Jackson. I love Crossbones.
Yeah.
I loved him more than I thought
yeah,
I
he was
would.
good.
That
elevator scene?
And I love that he survives.
Oh,
that
yeah,
last shot of him on the girl's like, oh, he is alive. Just so great. And I mean, obviously, this raises a question. Not that I care much about the Shield TV show. What does
We know you don't care, John.
what does this do to the Shield? And I'll say I've caught myself back up because everybody's been telling me, "Hey, the Shield TV show is better, and I should watch it." And I will say this: it's improved. I'm totally caught up now, and it is improved. That show, it is improved because it's total crap. Don't have to beat out. It's total crap. Caught myself. That show was such total crap, and it has improved. But now it raises the question: what the hell do you do with that show? You cannot call the show Agents of Shield anymore because Shield don't exist.
Well, I think this upcoming episode this week, a ton of people are going to watch it that never watched it ever before because of Captain America.
Yeah, and the last episode is a total as many loose tie-ins to.
You had Sitwell.
He's just been called to go to that ship. It's like, okay, well, there's the setup and everything. But all right, so let's then get into some of the negatives because no film's perfect. Although I don't got much, I'll start with it. My one negative on this was the Dr. Zola scene. I thought that was actually a little bit out of place with the rest of the movie. It felt a little silly. It's like we can't mind transfer people into computers now, but they did in 1977. So that felt a little silly to me. Although I will say this, and our friend from Collider.com, Steve Weintraub, Frosty, who's on our show quite often, he raised this point great. He said, Zola is in the bunker, and not only did he not see the movie, he didn't turn off his phone. Anyway, so Zola's in the bunker, and he's explaining everything in pure exposition to Captain America. Here's how everything went down, Captain.
It's a Bond villain.
It was awesome.
Yeah, right.
Bond villain.
It
So
was
he's
awesome.
explaining everything, and I'm watching that scene. I'm thinking, oh, this is a weak point of the script. This is a clear flaw because that the guy have the bad guy now explain everything in an exposition scene, blah blah blah. But then they totally salvage it at the end. Oh, by the way, Captain Rogers, I've been stalling you. It's like, now that forgives it all. Okay, so I did like the scene, but I did think the Zola thing was a little cheesy, a little bit hammy, although I'm glad they used the character again. I wish they'd found a different way. I got nothing else. That's the one thing that I would say, not really happy with how that happened. I love by the way, the Gary Shandling popping up
Hail Hydra.
as the thing, and
So
then
awesome.
Hail Hydra. Like, oh, should I get that checked
So
out?
awesome.
It's like, what kind of what kind of problem you're having? Oh, 23, good shape, wants to be in politics. You know,
So good.
the character alien, then he gets arrested at the end. Scarlett Johansson's speech to the Senate committee at the end, I
You
thought
need us.
did not feel right.
Yeah.
That did not feel right
I
at
didn't
all.
mind it.
It's like, you're not the Hulk. You're not a superpowered being. They could throw you in jail just like that. So that felt a little pressed, but it was in the midst of a great overall scene of Samuel L. Jackson burning his stuff, them visiting the grave, and this whole montage going on was still really good. Nitpick.
Yeah.
That's it. I got nitpicky things. Anyway, if you had to pick out even the smallest thing,
Yeah.
what were some things you think you could have lived without?
I have so many more positives. The one thing that stuck out to me, because I think it's cheap, I hate when they do this, when there's 1 second left and he just makes it.
Yeah.
Just the nick of time. Give me 3 seconds.
That I know, right? I always prefer it when there's like 10 seconds left on the clock.
5 seconds. I don't care about 1. It's like, you barely made it.
Well, and
that
really,
to me is cheesy.
even if he was like 5 seconds late, it only would have been about 50 or 60 people that killed.
Yeah, whatever.
Right?
No
It would have been
bigs.
fine.
But
yeah.
that right there, it's just like, you don't need to do that. There's no explanation to do that, and it's just it's cheap to me. So that was the one thing that took me out of it for a minute. I think I even LB'd is like, really. But other than that, like, I'm just floored by how amazing this movie was.
Dennis?
That was nitpicky
Yeah, I
too.
mean, there's just not too many negatives to
No.
this. Mine is only, and this isn't even that big a deal, with the Robert Redford thing. I think he did a great job with it, and I think the reveal of Hydra was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Him being the villain, though, I mean, it was kind of predictable. Even just from the trailer, you just watch it like, okay, he's going to be the guy behind the scenes pulling the strings. So that was the only thing. It didn't bother me that much. It was just predictable.
Ashley?
I don't know if you can consider this so much of a negative, but something that was in the first that I missed a little bit in the second was the first took place at a different time, so it kind of like let
yeah.
you escape a little bit more and go into a whole different era that we're not so familiar with because it's not present day. But I don't know if you can consider that so much of a negative.
Preference.
It's a preference, I guess.
Schnepp?
Yeah, there's not that much negative for me. I personally love the Arnim Zola sequence. I don't mind the
I do
cheesy
too.
part of it, but I was going to touch on the Robert Redford thing. I agree that he wasn't that strong of a villain towards the end. I like that Jenny Agutter started kicking his ass. My girlfriend was disappointed that it wasn't Agutter, that it was Black Widow. It was like, I want her to still be Agutter. Why can't she be? If you don't know who she is, watch Logan's Run and then get back to me. Jenny Agutter. But yeah, there's not really that much negative that I could say. I loved it, so I can't wait. I've just seen it for only one time, ladies and gentlemen. All these people have seen it not 9 times. Can't be as living at this. He's seen it like 15 times.
It's on repeat.
Don't let him lie to you that he's only seen it 3 times. I've seen his little snuggie in the back sleeping.
He just sits in
Captain
the
America
theater,
playing again.
and when
yeah.
it's done,
Yeah.
he just replays it.
Yeah, he's got it on his watch. Like Marvel sent it to him. Look, we know you want to see it. Just watch it on your watch, like Dick Tracy, constantly watching it. No, but I actually plan on seeing it at least one time with him. On maybe his ninth time, I'll see it. And when I'm caught up a little bit on my 4th time, it really is an incredibly enjoyable film. And the negatives, like I said, like maybe I kind of wanted, like, this is how cheesy the negative for me would, if they pulled off Robert Redford's face and it was the Red Skull.
A lot of people were
Yeah.
expecting that.
Yeah.
Not when he's dead, but he'd be like, I revealed myself. Or
I
something
was
like
still
that.
kind of half expecting that to happen, even right till about 10 minutes before the end of the movie. I
Yeah.
kind of half expected that to
So
happen.
I guess with that kind of expectation that was there, because everything else was like clockwork so amazing, that he kind of just skimped out at, like, hey, spoiler, check it out, skimps out at the end. They get him. The bad guys lose, everybody. But that's really not a negative. I mean, we all kind of expected that it wasn't going to
Yeah.
be Robert Redford, Hail Hydra credits. I don't think that was anyone who was going to expect a death to Captain America. He's all bloody and dead. So
You know what? That reminds me of the one other thing that didn't quite work for me. The scene where Captain America goes to the old age home to visit
Peggy.
Peggy to go visit Peggy. I like the fact that the scene was there. They could have just hired an 85-year-old actress, because to me it was like, whoa, look at that makeup job. I mean, and I get it's kind of cool bringing the original actress back in and doing the makeup. I get that. It didn't feel right to me, though. And I thought I would have liked this scene a lot more if they just actually gotten like an 85, 86-year-old actress to play that role. It wouldn't have pulled me out, because I got to admit, that one scene, it kind of pulled me out, and it lessened the emotional impact of the scene. Even though I still got the emotional impact of it, I thought it could have been a little bit stronger if they got a real actress. No. Why doesn't she remember it?
I do think they've improved though on old age makeup. Like
Very much. Very
like
much.
if you saw like the veins in her arms and stuff in
Yeah.
the face, you could tell it was the younger actress through her eyes. Though,
I just saw a
Oh,
patch
yeah.
of the wig. I just
Yeah.
saw a little piece.
But
I
you know
did.
what? There was
The
one
second
shot where she
viewing.
turned her head and she had those like neck jowls where I was like, they must have filmed an old woman and super composited that because they still had another shot where it was like Chris Evans as the tiny like
That was
Oh, those are
amazing.
great.
like super
Yeah.
weakling Rogers, and I was like, all that footage always freaks me out because I know it's all composite. I'm like, I don't see any wires. It's so hyper real that the old lady makeup, old person makeup. I mean, certain people have done it incredibly well. If you see The Hunger, Dick Smith was doing incredible old age makeup in the '80s. So you wonder what happened to that, and you get that dude back. Or
Johnny Knoxville,
is-
bad grandpa.
Yeah, get
Are
the-
you kidding?
Okay,
It's amazing.
that was some of the best old age
Amazing.
makeup in the history of
So,
Hollywood. That was
there's
crazy.
people winners and losers of old age makeup, and this was somewhere in the middle. It was like
Yeah.
it still wasn't the best,
Yeah.
but it wasn't as bad as like say some of the Watchmen, some of that
Yeah.
old age makeup.
And
where
it
you're
didn't
like,
take
that
me
just isn't
out.
working.
I
Yeah.
still stayed in the film.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then it's judgment time. It's score time. Schnepp, let's start with you and work our way down. If you're scoring Captain America, The Winter Soldier out of 10, considering all of its positives and negatives, what do you give Captain America?
I give it a 9.5. I think it's like, and out of all the Marvel movies as well, it's all, if I'm going to judge it as a film that just came out this year, definitely 9.5. It's really a cinematic experience. I thought it was fantastic. So I can't highly recommend it enough for people to see. In the theater, it's especially amazing that some of the action sequences are just meant to be seen big screen. So.
Great. Ashley, out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8. I really liked it. I think it's one of those that you can watch it a million times and kind of enjoy it more every time and notice little things every time that you go back to see it. I like that it left us wanting more. There weren't like definite answers. So obviously setting up the next. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it an 8.
Dennis?
I'm going to give it a 9. I still like Avengers a little bit more. There are parts of this movie that are better than Avengers. The story's better.
Yeah.
Character development's better. There's certain elements that are better, but Avengers it's just a little more fun for me. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a great next step for whatever they're going to bring next.
Can you imagine, though, if you'd asked all of us a year ago, hey, the new Captain America movie coming out next year, you guys are going to be discussing amongst yourselves whether it's better than the Avengers or not. I think we all would have taken
Wild.
that and been like,
Yeah.
are you, what, really? Okay, Amy Rose.
I'm on the 9.5 train. I thought this movie wasn't just an amazing superhero movie. It was an amazing film that even without the backstory, you would enjoy. I'm so glad the Russos are coming back for the third.
Yeah.
Evans, everyone, amazing character moments, script, action. It literally had everything and more than I wanted. And it just felt glossy and epic. And I love the tension between Widow and the Cap. So I just thought having such different moral codes was such a great pairing. So yeah, I could not say enough about this. I thought it was a brilliant movie.
Yeah, they got to bring George St. Pierre back. No, not really.
Of course.
I am going to, I'm going to give it 9.5 too. I love this movie. I still don't know if I'm ready to say if it was better than the Avengers or not. And because
Just say it, John.
Well, it's a movie that is a lot more like, because we always say like Dark Knight is a very different kind of movie from most other comic book movies.
It's grounded.
To me, Captain America: Winter Soldier is much more like the Dark Knight than it is like the Avengers. Like Captain America and the Avengers are just really different films from each other. So I'm struggling to figure out but seriously, I was so magnificently surprised by this movie. I liked the first Captain America, but it wasn't, super memorable. And I didn't watch it 5 times in theaters like I'm going to be
Me
watching this one or more. But it just so surprised me how high quality it is. Thumbs up to the Russos and to Kevin Feige once again and what they've done.
Feige,
So
you're amazing.
and one other thing we should mention before we go. Now that we got our lowest score is 8, our highest score is 9.5. We didn't talk about the after credit scenes.
Yes.
I was going to mention that too, just in case. Spoilers for here we go with
It's
double,
AMC spoilers. Yeah.
First of all, there's 2 of them. So
Yeah,
we
don't
watched
forget,
so
there
many
are
people
2. Stick
leave.
around,
I wanted
yeah.
to shout them, like, stay in your seat. Well, the first one.
Well, I mean, the first one is obviously the one that leads us into Avengers.
Yes.
Because it gives us our first glimpse of the
Scarlet Witch.
Well, we'll
Baron
start-
Strucker.
But Baron Strucker,
Baron
it
Strucker.
starts off with Baron Strucker, which
Yes.
instantly comes across as really cool.
Really cool.
And then it gives us our first glimpse of Quicksilver and Scarlet
Yes.
Witch. So Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was buffed up even more.
Yeah.
He was. And Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen looking great.
She's amazing.
So there was that scene, and that was great. But I got to tell you, and I was excited to see it and everything,
I was so excited.
I was far more taken with the second scene. And there's not even any dialogue in the second scene. And I told, when Sebastian Stan came into our studio, I talked to him off screen about this. I said, here's the thing, that scene, he doesn't say a word, he doesn't even move. And it is one of the best performances of the movie,
It's good.
of a scene. Just him staring at his own memorial. There's so much communicated in his face, the torment and the awareness and the conflict and all of that in one shot of his face staring at his own memorial. I was floored by it. I loved it. And then the screen just went black. And I thought, if you had described it to me before I saw it, I would have said, I'm going to stick around for 5 more minutes of trailers just for a picture of the guy looking at his own memorial. I would have thought it was a waste of time until you experience it and you saw it. And I was floored by it. And I'll say this, I do not believe the common theory right now that they're going to kill off Chris Evans and Bucky's going to become the new Captain America.
I do. He's a 9-picture deal.
Everybody who signs on with Marvel is a minimum 7, 8, 9 picture
But
deal.
9 for a
They-
character
they get everybody.
like I don't know.
That's standard procedure now.
But Chris wants to be out anyway.
But
he's
he
directing.
clarified that. Remember, 2-3 days later, he clarified that. Said he's going to take a break from acting, but he's going to come back. I have very
But would
little
you be
doubt.
happy with it if it happened? Because I really like that part of the storyline.
I can live with it. I can
think
live
it
with.
would
I
be
can totally.
awesome.
I'm not against it, but I do not think that's the direction.
I don't think
going.
they're gonna kill Captain America. I think maybe he'll go like Chris Evans as Steve Rogers is gonna go away, and then maybe
Yeah.
Bucky Barnes takes over
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
Captain.
Well, yeah, I
America.
don't think they need to kill him, but I think he is going to be.
But they built
the Cap.
that in with this second episode with him, like, feeling like he's feeling like less attached with Shield, even in the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
I love that Nick Fury calls him Cap. As
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Listen, Cap, and it's like just such a comic book thing. But yeah, I could see him like on the third movie, maybe not going with the storyline from the comics with the death of Captain America,
Right.
In which he never died anyway. Like none of these characters ever die. Remember the death
Yeah.
of Superman
Yeah.
and all this stuff. They don't die; they just come back. So this would be one of those things where they could have him go away. Sebastian Shaw now realizing they
Stan.
Stan. Iron
Bucky
Man.
realizes
John Schnepp says X-Men is
X-Men?
crossing over
I know.
with
I
Captain
can't believe
America.
what just happened. Two Quicksilvers. Yeah, I see that happening. It could happen for one movie, maybe two. He wears the weird silver outfit in the comic books. I don't know if they would do that in the movie, but yeah, definitely give Chris Evans a break for 2 years, and he comes back in the sixth Captain America as Captain America.
I think they're going to be taking a break. I think after the third Captain America movie, I think they're going to be taking a break for a couple of years from Captain America. They got a lot of other films to start
Sure do.
exploring.
We didn't talk about the Stan Lee cameo either. It was so good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It was
always
so
good.
good,
It's
but that
always
was
good.
so cute.
It was funny.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
man, I'm
get
so gonna get
fired or
fired.
whatever. It's so cute.
If we're going to mention Stan Lee, let's be extra cool that Marvel credits Simon and Kirby for the
Yes.
creation
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Captain America. It's very important that the people who created these characters are honored.
Yeah.
And shown in the credits as like, hey, these guys came up with this character in the 40s. Joe Simon, Jack Kirby, any of these guys who was responsible for creating any of these Marvel or DC characters should always get credited. That's
Yeah.
how I
Definitely.
feel.
I saw in the credits also Ed Brubaker and
Yeah,
Brian
yeah.
Michael
Yeah.
Bendis.
Yeah.
were there
All
too.
the people like Gene Colan,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
recently passed last year, all these people who were super responsible for creating the Falcon, for creating the Winter Soldier, all of them were given their due credit
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But I think
Good
it's
job, guys.
incredibly important to remember who created Captain America. That's why we're enjoying this. So.
Speaking of the Stan Lee cameo, I totally forgot. I can't believe I didn't mention this. One of my favorite parts was he went back to the World War II Captain America costume.
Oh yeah, that was
I
cool.
lo-
Because
when
that's
he
my
ca-
favorite costume out
Yes,
of all of
too.
them.
absolutely. He comes walking over that ridge out of the forest with the rest of them as they're
Yeah.
getting ready to attack the Triskelion, and he comes walking over and he's wearing that costume again. It's like, yes. I
We didn't
loved
talk
it.
about the God. There's so much. It just keeps happening. We didn't talk about the end when Maria Hill is in Stark Industries and she's being set up to probably take over the new Shield.
Yeah, which is, for those you know, in the comic books, Tony Stark kind of sets up a replacement to S.H.I.E.L.D., which I believe is called Hammer? No, not Hammer. Is it called Sword? It's called something else. I'm trying
I
to
don't
remember the name. But we see her interviewing
Yeah.
there. We see the, quite frankly, kind of useless Agent 13 character didn't. Yeah, I was expecting more out of
I
that.
think she was just a drop in so that she'll be a bigger
Bigger
presence.
part.
The
Yeah.
Revenge Girl, the blonde Revenge Girl.
she's supposed to. Isn't she
She's
supposed
in
to be
this.
Sharon Carter?
Yes, that
Yeah,
is
Sharon Carter. Yeah,
That's-
Agent
she's a
13.
giant-
But then she's at the
okay.
firing range. Okay, that was
Yeah.
fine too. But oh god, so much. But we got to cut this short because I think we not short. I think we've gone overtime
Just
on
keeps
this.
happening.
So 9.5, 8, 9, 9.5, 9.5. Really, the big thing is you guys. What do you guys think of it? Make sure you jump into the comment section below. Leave your thoughts on Captain America: The Winter Soldier. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. So for John Schnepp, Ashley Mova, Dennis Zen, Amy Rose Eisenbach, Ray Ora over there doing the control panel, and myself, I'm John Campion for AMC Movie News. Thanks for joining us on this episode of AMC Spoilers, Captain America Winter Soldier Review. And until next time, bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.